The theme of this video today is a smear campaign, and if you are spirited, if you are an original spark walking the path here, you probably have dealt with smear campaigns in your corners of realities. This also happens when you hit the core of what's happening in the very inside of a cult type environment. And people get really triggered when they know what they are really up to. And more specifically, we generally find smear campaigns being launched by beings who are closer to the narcissistic spectrum, or who have such types of deregulations in how they are built. So whenever a relationship is ending between basically a handler and the handlee, well, oftentimes the handler is gonna convince themselves that they are the one being victimized, and they will often try to convince other people as well of this false reality living field. A smear campaign is used to further this false narrative that handlers have been wronged, and they will use different methods such as character assassination, defamation of character, to undermine the reputation of their handlees who is flying away. Anything is being done to undermine their credibility as well, because this is to make sure that if they were ever to speak out about what happened, they wouldn't be believed by people who are still in the cult or still under mind control. The handlers are often gonna spread unverifiable rumors, distortions, half-truth, or even sometimes it's outright lies about the true victim. And I mean, we see a lot of smear campaigns propagated by the gossip press, and celebrities who are real are going through extremely intense smear campaigns. And some of them really affect their mental health up to a point of no return sometimes for some of them, because of the intensity of the triggering for them, the shame and the humiliations, which are effects that are intended by these mind controlling methods that are meant to target anyone who does not want to keep in line, and who therefore is a threat also for the system. Now, we find darker handlers where these are the ones that are going to be easily triggered to want a revenge, they will want to discredit their handlees whenever the ties is breaking down. And it's also meant to isolate the person who is living and making sure they will not have contact with other people who they were previously interacting with. Handlers who have strong narcissistic tendencies usually lack compassion and a true connection to empathy. Now, it does not mean that they cannot fake or mimic empathy. If they are psychic abilities, and if they are merger, they can merge, which is very close to empathy, but it's not the same. usually to plant the hooks into the consciousness of beings, they will use volatile techniques such as love bombing to gain appreciation of others. There will be a grooming phase during which normally the handlee won't be abused so badly or at all, because it's to really anchor the imprint in their field and plug into them. And then the trap is set in some ways. I mean, it's classical. Now, these types of handler will often deny, reverse the victim offender archetypes at play, and conveniently change the narrative or pretend to forget how it really happened. Now, hive-mind environment are usually filled with beings who are really plugged to negative ego. And the main handler managing the scene is often going to use techniques such as belittling, making other beings feel bad, incite guilt or shame, and play mind games such as gaslighting or emotional blackmail. In many cases, the handlee is also pushed to its very limit. And it's harder if you have a lot of self-doubt. It's much easier if you know the truth and trust in the proof you have yourself of what's really been happening. Another technique that is pretty common in these circles is when, toxic triangulations are being formed and the opinions of others are being brought to validate different points of view and invalidate others. Now, you also will find a lot of triggering that have to do with the wound of non-recognition, because narcissistic beings target this wound and are used to keep this wound very active. And behind you find ET factions who love to play on wounded ego aspects, because this is a place of huge deflection. And deflection is what is used the most here in order to trap you in your life and in your relationships. And being conscious of what we are projecting out is one of the first steps into transforming many different aspects from within. Now, the aspects of what is happening are often covert, and you might be dealing with handlers who are shamelessly stealing from you, who are not taking accountability for the amount of torture they are creating in the lives of others. And in their mind, they even convince themselves they are the victim, and they lie to themselves about that, but many actually don't really believe in their lies. I mean, it's the story they have to hold up to, and if you repeat it enough every day in your mind, it starts to become the truth. And then it gets easier to just hold on to that fake truth. Smear campaigns are a form of bullying. It's meant to paint the victim as the abuser or as the person responsible for why the relationship did not work out. And it's meant to spread negative propaganda. Now, when someone leaves a cult type environment after opening their eyes about what was really going on there, everything will be made to depict this person as unstable, negative, the wrongdoer. Everything has to be done to distort the image, the community as of this person, so no credibility can be given to that person anymore. because the very message of that person might have the power to create waves within the well-established community. Now, to hold the story together and cover for the numerous lies and distortion, more distortion will keep on needing, will be needed to be created continuously. To really understand this, we have to mention Stockholm Syndrome and cognitive dissonance probably as well, because that's linked to mind control, and that's profound denial that leads you to dismiss evidence and red flags and rationalizing what you are being, witness of in this community where a lot of abuse is taking place. This also ties to external authority programming, so giving authority to an external figure, which is the main handler of these hive-mind spaces. And we also find herd mentality that is meant to keep the minds and consciousness of beings who find themselves in these cubicle hive-mind structures, to keep them imprisoned in infinity loop thought patterns. And how do we know it's a cult? It's when there is an unquestioning commitment to a strong figure leading the space, and that it happens when their belief system, their ideologies, whatever they are sharing is quoted as the Bible and believed as the ultimate truth. Every original spark here have been going to smear campaigns launched against them. Many original spark are also part of smear campaigns led against other original spark. And you also find a lot of spiritless handlers and puppeted beings. And if you believe they are real, you might give any type of credit to whatever they are thinking about you. But if you know who they are truly, then it's not triggering anymore. You know the truth. The truth protects, and the truth is way above all of these. So smear campaigns are designed to be making it harder on your psyche and to create psychological and emotional torture. They always come with intense gaslighting about what reality really is. So that's adding up to the abuse that already has been taking place. And all of this is really about inverted reality, mirror reality. It distorts and manufactures the fabric of reality to make the target appear like they are the one being problematic, jealous, needy, insecure. It really depends how the trap is being set up. Now, some people are able to cloak their rage or jealousy better than others. I remember an ex-partner, and I don't know how he was able to cloak, because he didn't have so much knowledge of his abilities, but he was. And that made it difficult to understand what he was really being used for. When you make that move to leave a hive mind space, your reputation might come under attack. And if you can trace the root of it, which is mind control of these attacks and people going under mind control, then it's easier not to get emotionally affected by it. Now, the beginning of a relationship with a handler, usually they make sure to anchor emotions and entry point within. They tune into the wounded part of others and they mimic a persona that fits and matches that. Some of the tools that are used are seduction, victimization, intimidation, and shaming. And these will go through phases of devalorization, depreciation, then revalorization. And there is a control exerted over the level of distance being placed within different relationships. Now, something that not all beings are functioning like this, so it makes it difficult to understand sometimes, but handlers who are on the narcissistic spectrum will tend to keep score and be secretly revengeful and overtly resentful. They are usually triggered in their jealousy and they play competitions in their minds, and then they adopt the skills, talents, and abilities of the people they are spending time with, and this shamelessly. Whenever the smear campaigns begin, whatever they can find, they will invent, and the rest they will take out of context or distort, and they will really convince themselves of this distorted image of you, only seeing you through that lens, and finding even more tools of rationalization rather than practicing frequency signature discernment to keep on distorting everything. Now, way before you or me, we probably would have picked up the double message spread about us, so you can notice and pick up red flags, and especially in how it's gonna make you feel. You know, there is a signature for true appreciation, and there are different signatures for lies as well. Now, smear campaigns start as school when you have a lot of handlers around you. A lot of beings are spiritless at that age because they're easily accessed to handle the real original spark who are at school. But it's always about the same mind games. And then they are, you know, we change environment and we find maybe more complex templates because it gets more complex if you're dealing with a lot of real original sparks who are involved in the hive mind space. If you deal mainly with spiritless, I mean, it's a different frequency signature, but it really depends the credit that you give to other people about their opinions, the opinions they have of you. Now, at the end of my 20s, an ex-partner who was one of my worst handler, creating the biggest amount of psychological, psychic torture, emotional, was a real without empathy. And I mean, he had none because I've never seen him having empathy. And I didn't realize because I was busy processing some of my grief when my mother departed, but he was spending a great deal of time to turn friends of my own circle against me, friends that I introduced him to. And he was playing the victim while he was the abuser. And it was so clever how he was doing that, because that's not how my mind works, and it probably will never work like this. But that's how twisted it can be for some people who get really triggered by who you are and not being able to control you or keep you under their charm or spell for a long time. So they spend their time turning the minds of others upside down. And while they do that, they never get to the core of the real work. And people who perceive the truth like something that is upside down, so the fake version, it's because of their own issues. And many times we find deflection, shadow projection, and jealousy. Jealousy is an emotion that is often used to distort everything within the minds of people and create deflection. I had other types of experiences in hive-mind environment. In 2019, I had a brief experience in an Australian cult, and I didn't stay for a long time because once I met them in person, I quickly knew and deprogrammed from what was going on and disentangled from that. Other times I stay longer with people who were more majorly MK Ultra handlers for me in different online hive-mind spaces. From that time, since then, I grew so strong that smear campaigns do not affect me the same as it was before. I don't put the credit, the opinions of others about me above what I know to be true and what I can pick up in terms of frequency signatures and what is being revealed to me thanks to my work with spirit. So I have all the tools and proof for myself about the very nature of what's going on. I've learned not to give that credit to beings who are under mind control. So it does decrease a lot the impact of these mind games and that they can have on me. The system hopes for us to respectfully be silent and to keep on being misread silently. Now, I lost enough time in hive mind spaces held by MK Ultra handlers that maybe for a time I thought were my friends. And it's always been so rewarding to leave communities where people are easily perpetrated against me, where people are so easily believing lies because it gives an explanation to things they don't understand about themselves. Handlers actually, these kinds of handlers actually work on feeding the wounded egos of the beings involved in the hive mind spaces, because it's a hook where you want to come back for more and more and more, and it doesn't end. This is a clever also inversion. These victimizer software are inverted, and third-party reinforcement are doing the bidding of dark alien groups. These types of gurus have a hard time with anyone having broken their mind control who was present for a long amount of time within the community itself. And most of the beings who are under mind control will be siding with abusers, finding all kind of false justification about the nature of what's going on. The matrix system also wants us to believe in the distorted image that is perpetuated by MKUltra handlers. But when you hit the core, you find it. That's when you become the enemy. Different relationships for me with handlers have ended there. Like at that moment when I found it, I identified it, I found it in my field, I found it in my consciousness, I found it in my mind. I identified that it was perpetuating mind control. And that was not what I thought it was. The truth is not always easy to confront, to hear, to face. It's hard sometimes to perceive which version is the counterfeit one, especially as most reals here are programmed to stay faithful to MKUltra, to their MKUltra programming, and addicted and enslaved to the handlers. And the matrix system is also designed this way to blame anyone who is placing boundaries. It's great to be placing boundaries. That's a great revealer. That's how you discover who truly care about overstepping them and who will back off whenever they know that it's creating a discomfort in you. So the matrix system blame you for standing up for yourself against abuse, and it's like a punishment system that is designed like this. But believe me, the truth always protect. And there are many positive races and ships who are also working with us in the shadow, and just knowing and acknowledging their presences can be such a strong comfort. And the reaction of other people will always tell us about who they are at the core, you know, how they react to boundary setting. It's just such a great revealer. You are meant to sometimes feel guilty if you place boundary. Like some people can really twist your mind upside down too about that. But using guilt as a manipulative technique is also a red flag about something really narcissistic taking place. In these MKUltra hive-mind spaces, we find the perpetuation of mind control, abuse is taking place, and beings are deluded about the nature of their experiences. We are often made to believe, due to our MKUltra programming and false appearances, that our major MKUltra hostile handlers truly love us, have appreciation for us, and they themselves are also programmed to believe they are our friends. And then that's why they feel so offended. And you must be the abuser because they cannot stand the truth of what's been really happening. And without them believing so deeply in their own stories, it wouldn't really work. People who have strong narcissistic tendencies are always recruited to make the most powerful, hostile, revengeful handlers. And the more you walk this path building truth, the more you surround yourself with others, connecting to celestial divine guidance, you can wrap yourself with this celestial support. Breaking MKUltra programming takes time. Everything has its own timing for each of us. It's a process where illusions are being broken down for only the truth to stay and stand, and going over the confusion created by cognitive dissonance and denial. Now, whenever people are choosing to stay in denial, it can create a dead hand in a relationship that is going to be affected by it, and the bond is going to deteriorate, or distance is going to be created. Some real original spark are too far gone to a point of no return. You know, they're never going to break their programming down. They're always going to stay addicted to these false versions of reality. Others are very mind controlled, and they also feel so far away. And with many others, you will find a lot of false reality standing between you and them. That is how it's designed here. And with only a small percentage, you're going to find that coherence where you can truly meet. And this is going to be the beings who are doing the real deep work. If you are an original spark here, you've been probably walking from handling influences to other handling influences. Usually, you know, it grows more sophisticated in the version that you are dealing with. So from spiritless templates to, you know, real templates who have real psychic abilities, they make much more powerful handlers, and they have much stronger mind controlling abilities. They can use gaslighting much more efficiently than the spiritless do. The rules of handlers are to trigger, to create frustration, to demean, to undermine, to encourage you to play small due to looping over and over again in your wounding without having the space to reflect, to remember. They are there to sabotage you. And the program always makes sure you are influenced by several handlers at the same time in your life. And you might find different time in your life where you have like a series of mind controlling operations that are really meant to have an impact on your consciousness and to really derail you at a moment that is chosen by the computer systems, because there is a chance that it might work. The wound of non-recognition is also being triggered by you being ignored or demeaned by different handlers. And handlers can also be somehow somewhat interested in, you know, what you're working on, and they're gonna have an influence on the way you spend your time. Sometimes handlers can push you to your limits and then make you feel guilty when you're placing any types of boundaries. This is to discourage you to further progress with boundary setting, which is so important here, and to invite you to loop into guilt programming as well. Handlers with no empathy are the most easily puppeted and out of control here. This is why it's hard to go past a certain point with Draco spirited beings here, since they are so easily corrupted. Handlers might be used in many different ways, including to discourage you to place boundaries with people who are your handlers too. They will also send you more handlers and gang stalkers, and discourage you to be firm about your boundaries in general. It can be hard to admit to yourself that someone you truly genuinely appreciated is in fact a handler on your path. You have to go over some ego maybe there as well. So that's one of the roles of handlers, to spread their false version of reality, some of which they are really programmed to believe in due to their own denial. But sometimes they know also it's pure lies. And they just use the mind controlling power they have over the minds of other people, to activate that mind control, to present themselves as the victim while they are the abuser. And it's easy when you look at some real celebrities, and we have some case with women, but also with men who are real, who have been set up with partners that were handlers, the MK Ultra handlers, and who are spreading lies and distorting the victim abuser roles. Now you might find a great relief to be outside these engineered views that were costing so much of your time and energy, and also not to invest your time in places that are not fruitful. Basically, it's meant to handle the way you spend your time, your energy, your focus, and while you're doing that, you're not really exactly on track. If we look at celebrities again who are real, we can see how sometimes they believe they love their handlers and their handlers love them so much. But that's not what I would call love. That's what I call engineering. And oftentimes you see someone in the relationship who's just using and taking advantage of the other person. And then the other person's intentions are pure, aligned, and it can be strongly read in the signature. If you are an original spark here, you will generally be gang stalked, or attempts of sabotage will be sent to you by clients or collaborators that are sent your way. And if you don't exercise clear discernment, it might cost you a bit of time, energy. In my community, I surround myself with strong beings. And for me, the strongest beings are the ones who have strong degree of empathy. And despite this sensitivity, this is a real strength. This is a softness and a strength at the same time. To be vulnerable here is also a strength. You can touch deeper other beings. I appreciate the ones who don't answer basically the orders from their own MK Ultra programmings, who refrain from sending psychic attacks, or who refrain from creating negative manifestation in the lives of other people. Because this is one way to create hell for other spirited beings and intensify the torture they are under. And I don't align with that. I keep on parting ways from false friends handlers. I don't want them relating with my community. I don't want them as clients. And I've broken ties with many since 2018. These were sent as my personal handlers, and they were always disguising who they truly were. I appreciate to be working with a very small portion of beings who are non-invasive, who are not there to use me unconsciously beyond a certain point. Building connections that are true is the best antidote against smear campaigns, and frequency speaks for itself. And in my work, you will find a lot of transparency as well in terms of my frequency signature. The more you rise, the more it gets complicated, intense, but also maybe gratifying. It's a strength, but it's also challenging to grow more and more aware of what surrounds each of our friends or people we enjoy relating with, because if you grow aware about the MK Ultra programs and my lab engineering, you grow aware about who is really their partners, their children, their parents. So you are perceiving all the ending influences in their lives, and then you are hearing the false stories they are believing in. So it's like an elephant of porcelain between you and them, and you cannot not feel the boxes entrapping the minds and the infinity loop system at play. As you stand higher and higher in frequencies that are about the truth, you will be hated. People will hate you for the light that you bring, that just excessively trigger all that they cannot be and maybe they wish to be, because here it's like everybody wants to be on the light side, and people who are very dark rarely take responsibility for the amount of darkness they are associating with. So darkness often chooses deceit, but the light will choose transparency. And people who cannot comprehend who you are will get extremely triggered by you, especially as you keep on seeing right through them up to the core of their very being. The higher frequencies of healing are rarer to encounter. This is the work of the torch bearers here, who are on the front lines, and it's so much work to protect the light from the harmfulness of influences from the MK Ultra and My Life programs that are meant to destroy what is beautiful and what is good. This can be discouraging. But the more we build stability, the stronger we are, the more you have a network of support residing in what is true that no one can rob away from you. I like to be surrounding myself by others who are doing the work at a high frequency level, resisting the ambient mind control. People who hold these frequencies don't always realize the beauty that lies within themselves. And it takes time to believe in ourselves and resist in spirit as much as it's possible. Desiring to break free from mind control is always positive. It shows inner strength, connected to the knowing we don't need to keep on being abused. And from that place of consciousness, new doors are being opened. Smear campaigns actually are helpful in revealing hidden aspects that were always there. They quickly sort out who is who in your life, who is meant to stay for longer, and with whom you have something residing in truth and trust. You win and rise when your heart doesn't get bitter, when from the torture organized around you, you choose peace, healing, and true connections. And you redirect your point of focus where it's fruitful. The truth can bruise your ego and your pride. That's the way it goes. And if you are connected to high frequencies, many won't be seeing you where you are at, less and less, but the quality will deepen, so it will feel like more and more. Who are the people who truly know you, they are able to see you. Now, in terms of frequency signature discernment, you might notice an unease starting with picking up things that feel off in signatures. So that's where it starts to discern intent and energy signatures. And of course, lies and truth have different frequencies. Now it's easy, you do this exercise where you put two people side by side and you look at who has the strongest handler frequency, who is bossy, who has the bully energy, who has the narcissistic energy. You can look on features on the face. You can see if you're perceiving different races, like what race is this being. You can listen to the tone of their voice. And you can also look for any cloaking abilities, because that's where the deceit gets more entangled and difficult to really reveal what's truly hiding there. But you can command for true intentions to be revealed and asking for the truth to be revealed if you dare to. This is one of my favorite tools to be working with. Again, side by side, who has the most controlling frequency, who is in people pleasing, is going to be often the handlee. So the one being handled. Frequencies speak for themselves. And as you keep on training, it gets easier and easier to dismiss most of the crap, most of the setups, and to reconnect to and keep connected to, the aligned version and not the distorted one. As far as I'm concerned, you will find who I am in the legacy of what I'm building through my work. And not many are able to read frequency signatures at such a high level. The more we are, the easier it is to discern the truth. You also find a lot of MK Ultra programming that is meant to dismiss true allyship, through deprogramming. So you are programmed to turn your back on it, to grow disinterested from it. It's deeply programmed. I find it in myself, and I find it pretty much all around me too. So that's an intense programming that you need to grow more aware of and to identify the steps, especially when you're with someone who is really beneficial on your path, who brings new energy and healing. You can pick up these thoughts that are linked to your MK Ultra programming that are meant to create distance between you and that person. And when you deflect energy, you also don't see people as they are. You project a whole amount of shadow that is not really there, that comes from you being triggered by what this person triggers in you. But practicing frequency signature discernment assists in discerning the truth and not buying into false claims that are made to harm what is true and standing in the light. And the more you elevate, the more you are dealing with the shadow aspects of other people, their ego, their narcissism. I appreciate to be asking and to be commanding for the truth to be revealed. It's a great tool if you have a doubt about anyone in your life, if you want to connect to the deepest truth. You may ask Spirit directly and command the energies to reveal in plain sight. You will get revelation that comes through your own clear abilities And in these details, you will find the truth and things will be revealed. Breaking free from mind control is always the most rewarding path. It's not designed to feel rewarding sometimes, but in the long term, it surely is. You know, you get more peace of mind and appreciation for the beauty that can be experienced here. And discernment is not about what we wish to see sometimes, but what are the energies really saying? And if you have relationships that are true, you know they are so precious. They might come under attack sometimes for things to get distorted, to separate people. Especially people who are doing good work together, who are bringing true healing, sometimes for each other. I don't fear the truth because I stand by the truth, and my place is by and with the truth. This is who I am here playing to be. The truth is my kind of game, and this is also my kind of allies. I'm sharp at discovering the walls of the present in my life and the lives of other people, and I stand for freedom of the mind. I will always break ties with people who perpetuate mind entrapments. So to know the bottom truth, the real one, I love to be asking through spirit that the truth be revealed, and I stand by its side.